This is the Field Empowerment Fund Housing Counseling Services Program Informational webinar. So we'll go ahead and kick it off here, and thanks so much for joining us. A couple of housekeeping items as we get started here. First, the NCRC Code of Conduct applies to this as well as all gatherings. Secondly, this webinar is being recorded, and the session will be posted to the Field Empowerment Fund Housing Counseling Services homepage after the session. Third, if you do have any questions, please go ahead and submit those in our Q&A module. Over the chat box is preferred. You won't see your questions immediately, but we will be viewing those and addressing those at the end of the session during our Q&A. And if you'd like to, at this point in time, to jump on the chat and just share what organization you're with, where you're from, or where you're operating out of, that would be wonderful so we can get a sense of who's on the call. And again, that Q&A is great for questions, just so we can make sure we don't miss anything. We will answer, of course, some of these questions, or as many as we can during the Q&A, and we'll also be sharing our contact information at the end. If you do have any other questions that come up after the session as well, we'd be happy to help. Lastly, you'll see listed here some essential links. The first is the NCRC main homepage, and the second is our Field Empowerment Fund homepage as well, which will have information specific to the FEF Housing Counseling Services program. And so that's where the recording will be posted, as well as all other information. So we encourage you to click on that as well, review that information, and follow it after the session. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, NCRC is the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. We are a national nonprofit organization with over 700 members, and NCRC focuses on a variety of different topics, so including, of course, housing counseling, affordable housing, but also other topics such as health equity, policy, and research. So we have all of these different focuses under one roof, under one organization, and with the common goal of building wealth in underserved communities across the nation. So the FEF HCS program is one such program administered by NCRC. A little bit about our agenda today to give you a sense of what's to come. The first, we'll be doing some quick introduction shortly. We'll also be talking about the program. We'll be reviewing the eligibility criteria, as well as benefits to awardees. We'll also be reviewing the program timeline, and at the end be giving you a preview of the application questions so you'll know what to expect in the application. And lastly, we'll have that opportunity for Q&A as well. My name is Laura Bentley, and I'm the Director of Grant Administration within the Community Impact Team, a department at NCRC. Our team has 3 members, including myself. We have Luis Ortiz, who is our Senior Grant Specialist. He's on the call as well today. And we have Dia Henderson, who is our Program Manager. Just want to note that for this program, for the Field Empowerment Fund Housing Counseling Services, Luis will be the lead for that program. So for any questions that you have and going through the application process, he'll be the one that you are interacting with the most. So with that, I will pass it over to Luis himself to take us through the next part of the slides.
Thanks, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Field Empowerment Fund Housing Counseling Services Informational webinar. The Field Empowerment Fund in general is designed to help NCRC network members strengthen and expand their existing service lines. This initiative provides resources and support to enhance the impact of member initiatives across the country. One key component of FEF is now the Housing Counseling Services Program, which specifically supports HUD-approved housing counseling agencies. The goal is to drive home ownership by equipping agencies with the tools and knowledge needed to assist clients in both pre- and post-purchase counseling. This ensures that home buyers are prepared not only for the home buying process, but also for successful long-term home ownership. Additionally, the program addresses heirs property challenges, which is a critical issue affecting many low-income and first-time home buyers, particularly in rural parts of the country. By building agency expertise in this area, we hope that FEF helps ensure that families can retain intergenerational wealth and avoid property loss due to legal issues, and/or title complexities. Next slide. The FEF Housing Counseling Service program is made possible through a partnership with KeyBank, and it's specifically designed to support communities within the KeyBank footprint. This initiative helps strengthen housing counseling efforts in areas where KeyBank operates, ensuring that more individuals and families have access to critical homeownership resources. Through a settlement with KeyBank, $2.5 million has been allocated to provide subgrants for direct-to-client housing counseling services. These funds will be distributed over 3 rounds. These subgrants will enhance the capacity of HUD-approved housing counseling agencies, allowing them to expand their reach and impact within their targeted communities. So as you can see, the initial round 2025 will be $850,000, followed by a 2026 round of $850,000 and 2027 round of $800,000. Okay. Next slide. Eligibility. To be eligible for the FEF Housing Counseling Service Program, agencies must meet the following criteria. The applying organization must be a member of NCRC and with a current 501c3 status. However, agencies do not need to be an NCRC member to apply. Membership will be required if selected for that award. So I wanted to make that clear there. There will be also a link in the application where you could find some additional information on becoming an NCRC member, and I believe Laura's going to cover a little bit of that later on in the presentation as well. Agencies must be a HUD-approved housing counseling agency certified to provide housing counseling services. This certification ensures that the agency meets federal standards for delivering quality housing counseling services and education to home buyers and homeowners. Agencies must have a physical location and serve clients within the eligible KeyBank footprint. To verify eligibility, applicants should use the interactive map that's available on the Housing Counseling Services homepage and confirm that their services fall within the approved geography. So if we look at the next slide, Laura, you will see a screenshot of the eligibility map. In this map, you will enter your agency or branch address, and the system will let you know if that location is eligible for the grant. So you see the pink box highlighted. That it's hard to read here, but it tells you if you're eligible or not within that box. If you have different branch locations, you can enter the different branches into the map to see if you qualify. Please note that we will be validating this data in our application review process. Meeting these requirements ensures that funding goes to trusted, well-established agencies that can effectively support homeownership and financial stability within the service areas that we're focusing on. All right, next slide. Talk about benefits to awardees. The FEF-HCS program provides valuable benefits to awardees, helping them expand their housing counseling program impact. Awardees will receive subgrants to support their direct-to-client housing counseling services. The minimum award amount is going to be $10,000, but final awards may vary. Funding amounts will be determined based on factors such as the total number of applications that we receive for this opportunity, the number of clients that each agency serves, and alignment with the NCRC and KeyBank partnership announced April of last year. Awardees will also benefit from a specialized training session focused on heirs property challenges and best practices for helping clients preserve generational wealth. We do have a minimum attendance requirement for any agency that's selected for this program. We are requiring that one leadership team member join. That may be the president, CEO, it may be the director, it could be the program manager. We also are requiring that one HUD approved housing counselor is on that training. At least one. We would like for all of your HUD approved housing counselors to be on that call. The training will be hosted by our NCRC's National Training Academy and is anticipated for June of 2025. Um, Next slide. So let's talk about the estimated timeline. Uh, Application period opens February 17th and goes through March 14th of 2025. You will be able to find this link to the application on the Field Empowerment Fund landing page, which we'll share the link again later on in the presentation. May of 2025, we expect to be able to announce the awardees. The performance period will begin June 1st of 2025, with the heirs property training scheduled for sometime in June of 2025, and we'll send out additional information on that webinar as soon as it becomes available. Interim report will be due January 30th of next year, 2026, with the performance period ending May 31 of 2026, and a closeout report due that June 30th. Another thing that I wanted to point out, NCRC uses a grant portal by the name of ncrc.submit.com, where all applications, reporting, and grant-related communications are managed. All official announcements or updates will be sent through this system. If the point of contact listed on the application changes, please make sure to notify us immediately so that we can update our records to ensure that you don't miss any important communications via this system. I know we have a recommended suggestion to avoid potential issues. We recommend applying with a shared inbox where multiple team members can access the grant-related messages, just to help when any communication issues down the line. Next slide. Let's discuss application content. Application was designed to be a very short application. It requires several key pieces of information to ensure eligibility and compliance with program requirements. Applicants should be prepared to provide the following pieces of information. Once again, the designated point of contact, it would be the individual responsible for grant communications and reporting. Please ensure that this contact information remains up to date. Agencies must confirm their physical location and verify that they operate within the eligible footprint for this opportunity. You will be required to upload a copy of your HUD 9902 for Q4 of FY24, which is from October 1st, 2023 through September 30th of 2024. Also required roster of active HUD certified housing counselors. Your agency must submit a list of current active HUD certified counselors along with their HUD ID numbers. You will also be required to upload a copy of their HUD certificates into the system. And also you would be required to provide confirmation of attendance for the required heirs property training. You must confirm via the application your commitment to sending at least one leadership team member and at least one certified housing counselor for this training. The application submission period runs from February 17th, 2025 through March 14th, 2025 again. Agencies should ensure all required materials are uploaded within this timeframe to be considered for funding. I think Laura would do the next slide.
Absolutely. Thank you, Luis. So yes, as we're getting closer to our Q&A session here, we did want to flag again just some quick key dates for you all. The first is, as Luis mentioned, the application period again will open on February 17th at 10 a.m. It will close March 14th at 5 p.m. And the application link will be posted on the FEF HCS homepage on our NCRC website. So that will be the place to go once that application launches at 10 a.m. The link will be available there. Secondly, I did want to share another key date coming up for NCRC to make you all aware. It's an opportunity to meet our team as well as the NCRC team in person this March at the Just Economy Conference. So this is the national convening for leaders in economic justice. The conference takes place in Washington, D.C., and is designed to facilitate meaningful discussion between community advocates, government officials, bankers, and other key players who care about designing solutions to create economic opportunity for all. So to see the full agenda of the conversation topics, you can check out ncrc.org/agenda. And to register for the conference, you can see that link on the slide, ncrc.org/conference. That will have the ability to register as well as access all other information about the conference. Just want to note, for those who aren't aware, that the conference really has two main components. The first is Hill Day, which takes place on March 25th, and this is a member-only event, which allows you to meet directly with legislators on Capitol Hill. The rest of the conference will take place on March 26th to 27th. Please note that if you're interested in registering for Hill Day, you must do so by February 21st, which is coming up. Just wanted to flag that as well. And secondly, we also invite you to consider registering for the conference now if you're interested in coming, because those prices will increase at the end of the month. So we just want to flag that for you and give you a heads up. Ultimately, we're really excited at the opportunity to meet you all and see you all at the conference. This is a particularly critical moment in our history for us to come together and discuss not only common challenges, but more importantly, to share solutions and strategies and build strength through stronger networks and relationships as a coalition. So we hope you will take advantage of this opportunity, and we hope to see you there as well. You'll note on the slide that there are additional registration discounts for NCRC members. And so we do want to just take a moment regarding membership for any of you on the call who aren't yet members or are looking to do renewal. Just wanted to share a couple points on that as well. So membership is for organizations, and as a member organization with NCRC, you gain access to a number of different benefits, such as events, training, and custom research through our research department. Also eligibility for capacity building grant programs such as this one, the FEF HCS. It also provides opportunities to collaborate with NCRC and other community leaders to negotiate strong local commitments from financial institutions. There's a wide variety of benefits, and so we encourage you to email and contact our membership team. We'll be sharing that information at the next slide. And also check out the website. You'll see there at ncrc.org/membership to see the complete list of member benefits as well as a member map to see other current members. So again, for those who are maybe considering membership or looking up for renewal, we are really excited to have you in this coalition with us, be able to kind of work together in advancing our combined mission. Lastly, I wanted to share here some contact information. So you'll see on that right-hand side relating to our membership team. They're wonderful people. Please reach out to them at membership@ncrc.org with any questions. And you can join or renew at that link shared there, ncrc.org/join. Again, feel free to reach out to them. They'll be happy to jump on a call or contact you in any way you prefer. On the left-hand side, you'll have our community impact team information. So looking to contact myself or Luis, anyone on our team, you can reach out to us at impact@ncrc.org. We are more than happy to help you with any questions relating to this grant or other opportunities you may see our team administer. If it would be helpful, Luis has his Calendly there for any brief consultations or conversations you would like to have with him. And lastly, you'll see again that FEF HCS homepage. It's ncrc.org/FEF. and that's again where the application link will be posted, as well as a lot of information regarding the grant and that eligibility map. So again, we recommend you take a quick second to enter your organization's location into that search bar, and that will help you determine if you're geographically eligible. So at this point, we'll kind of pop over to the Q&A. I'm going to look through those Q&A questions. We've had a lot that have come in, so I'm just going to take a moment to mention that if you have a very specific question related to your organization's circumstances, we might just recommend also emailing, again, impact@ncrc.org, and I can go ahead and share that information again in 1 second. I'm going to leave that slide up so that you all can view that. Share this right back here as we go through the Q&A, just in case your questions are more specific. All right, we'll leave up that one here for a second. Okay, in terms of some of the Q&A, we're going to start with some of these that have been answered here. In terms of the presentation slides and recording, this again will be posted on that FEF website that you can see there on the slide. We have a question regarding, does this conflict with any funding that we have already received from HUD as a housing counseling agency? I want to flag that in terms of a specific conflict of funding, there is not a conflict there. An agency who's participating in this will, of course, have to do that due diligence on their own end, as with any sources of funding, to make sure that you're not essentially double covering the same thing, right? So you would need to be using these funds for activities that aren't already covered by reporting that you're doing to HUD for that exact activity or client. Otherwise, there's no conflicts. And again, with any questions like that, we definitely recommend that you do reach out to your HUD point of contact or your other source of funding point of contact. We're also available to help in that specific situation. We have a question of, is this a multi-year application, or do eligible applicants need to submit applications for funding consideration annually? There will be a separate application for each round of this funding. Here. There's a question of if a state finance agency can apply on behalf of a partnering HUD-approved agency. What I'll say to that and to the comment of, can I apply on behalf of an agency, is that we do need this point of contact to be someone who can provide the information, of course, that's listed in that application preview that Luis went over. And this will also be that same point of contact who will be following up for reporting, for award announcements, for information about who is attending those required training sessions. So I might advise against applying on behalf of an agency and then having to be that point of contact. But certainly what we're looking for at this stage is someone who is able to complete that application and be a responsible and responsive point of contact for the agency. There is a question here about whether or not there is a maximum award amount anticipated. We do not have a maximum award amount specified at this time. The final award amounts are going to be determined on a variety of factors, including application volume and other factors about the alignment with the Key Bank settlement. So that's something we do know at this time. The minimum award will be $10,000, but we do not have a maximum at this time. There's a question of whether an agency, if they are a member of a certain organization and that organization is a member of NCRC, are they eligible? The applicant organization needs to be a member of NCRC. So the answer to that question is no. And the kind of blanket statement is that whichever HUD-approved housing counseling agency is applying for this grant, that agency itself will need to be a member of NCRC. We have a question of why is this grant opportunity only available to eligible locations instead of all locations? And this ties back directly to the source of the funding. As Luis mentioned, this funding is a direct result of a settlement that NCRC had with Key Bank. And so the exact stipulations of that settlement and contract require that these funds be used in the geographies of Key Bank branches. And so, unfortunately, that does not include all geographies, but what that does allow is that these funds will be targeted to the communities that are directly linked with that activity with Key Bank. There's a question of if an organization receives funding in the first year, are they eligible to receive funding again for the following rounds and rounds of funding? At this time, we don't have any requirement against eligibility in the second round, but those kind of final eligibility questions for subsequent rounds will be released at the time that those rounds are active. There's a question of what types of program expenses are eligible for use of an FEF award. This does include salaries, fringe, marketing, additional costs and operational costs that are related to the activities of pre-purchase counseling for new home buyers. So we will note, for example, rental counseling is not something that will be allowed under the use of funds for this grant program. And this again, is directly related to the Key Bank settlement and the exact specifications of the use of funds. So when awardees are selected, we will be reminding them at that time that the funds are intended to cover activities for related to first-time homebuyers or new homebuyers. And so that really is pre-purchase counseling activities, but we are covering the expenses that are related to that, such as marketing or overhead related to those activities. There's a question about the eligibility of the map, about which areas are covered or not covered. While we did show a screenshot on the slide, we just want to advise you that that screenshot did not show the entirety of the eligibility areas. The eligibility areas span across the country. And so we just recommend that you go to that FEF homepage, scroll down, you'll see that map exactly in the center of the page. And the search bar at the top, you can enter your agency's address, click the search, and it will specify if your agency's location is geographically eligible or ineligible. So the colors on the map are just kind of the normal image of a map and the variation in colors, but you'll see your exact data point pull up and the map will kind of spit out an automated answer that will say whether or not your location is in range for this program geographically or not. There's a question if an organization has multiple locations, is it one application for all location? So we're looking for one application per agency. So for example, if you have an agency registered with HUD that has a second nearby office, that in order to be eligible, kind of that office would have to have really its own agency, own connection with HUD, its own HUD ID number. So not knowing your exact situation, the person who asked this question, I would say that it's one application per agency, not one application per office location. But certainly everyone's situation may be a little bit different there. There's a question of, can NCRC members also be affiliates with other national HUD intermediaries? And the answer is yes. You don't have to be using NCRC as your intermediary in order to be eligible. It's just if you are a HUD certified housing counseling agency, that is the requirement.
I was answering some questions in the chat box. We have another question. Will the awarded organizations be required to send statistics and demographic data monthly or quarterly to NCRC?
So to this question, you will still be required. I just want to make a general statement, you would still be required to comply, for example, with HUD's quarterly 9902 demographic data. So I just want to say that those type of requirements, of course, are required still. In terms of NCRC's reporting, we will be having an interim report and a final report will be the cadence of those reports.
Is there a requirement that the agency has to market Key Bank as part of the pre-purchase activities?
There is not a requirement for them to market Key Bank. No.
Another question, will expenses be billed as time spent similar to HUD billing or billed per household served and per scope of service?
It will be billed similar to HUD as well. Mm-hmm.
There's some specific questions. I don't know if we can grab these questions and reply later. Some may be requiring a little bit of follow-up, in particular to some geography questions dealing with the map. So we'll try to get back to you with those particular location questions.
Yeah, and we do have just a question here as well. I'll respond to in general about the map. You can find that on the FEF homepage, which I'm just going to respond to that question. It's the one listed on the left-hand side of the screen on the very last link. That's ncrc.org/FEF. When you open that page, you'll see it has information regarding this program, and you can just scroll down to the middle of the page and you'll see the map there. And yes, if you do have any questions about this specific program, please email impact@ncrc.org and we will be able to answer specifically about this program. If you have a question about membership in general, or the conference in general, or anything like that, you can reach out to the membership team, which is membership@ncrc.org. And I would
We
say
had
there's
another question.
Mhm.
Just a quick question regarding the award amount ranges. I believe it's starting at 10,000, but they haven't been determined as far as what the actual award sizes would be. It'll
That's
just
correct.
be dependent on how many applications we get, the size of the organization, the number of clients that they serve. So that's why we're asking for the 9902 data in the review process.
Yes, that's exactly correct. There's also a question about, is there any special documentation required to keep on file for each client? That is to HUD standard. So there's nothing additional that we would be asking for outside of HUD standard process for documentation and working with clients.
Are intermediaries eligible to apply?
I would say the intermediary is not, right? The goal is that we are providing these grant funds directly to a housing counseling agency. So this goes a little bit, if it seems right to an agency and intermediary for an intermediary to assist in submitting the application, that can be a choice. But ultimately, what we will be looking for from that contact information is to be able to use that contact for the duration of the grant. So I might advise against it, but we are not going to be awarding intermediaries. We'll be awarding a housing counseling agency who will be carrying out the activities.
Back to the eligible expenses question.
Mhm.
I see a question regarding if salary expenses or outreach and workshop costs would be covered, which they are. Usually, whatever's covered by HUD would be able to cover under this grant. It does have a particular question regarding down payment assistance, Laura. Can you speak a little bit about that? And I think it's a
I
reference to just providing
mm,
some sort of down payment assistance to the community, is what I'm guessing the question is.
yeah, I apologize. I don't see that question exactly. I would say that if this doesn't answer it, feel free to send us, an email. We can talk about a specific expense. But the goal of this program is to cover activities that are supporting new homeowners in their purchase. And so this would be counseling activities and supporting them in kind of getting to that part of the homeownership journey and beginning that journey. The funds themselves couldn't be used to provide down payment assistance. It was a pass-through grant or something like that. Again, if that doesn't immediately answer the question, feel free to send us your specific question about a particular expense. In this case, in addition, kind of awardees will be provided more guidance on that as well and the specifics. But if that's a concern at this time for any applicants, feel free to send us a specific question to the impact email. We'll be happy to walk through that.
There's also some questions regarding getting your HUD approval. That goes through HUD directly. I would suggest that you log into the HUD Exchange website. And within the HUD Exchange website, if you go under programs, one of the options is housing counseling. And HUD gives really, really neat and really easy to follow toolkits that tell you exactly what you need to do in order to become a HUD approved housing counseling agency. And I would say we did receive a couple of questions on this. It's a bit of a process. It's not just an application that you complete. There are some general requirements to becoming a HUD approved housing counseling agency. So definitely suggest going into HUD Exchange and the programs and getting that information directly from the source. Let's see.
There's a question of, can this grant be used for foreclosure work? And the answer is no. Again, that's related to the stipulations and the focus of the settlement themselves or itself. And so the grant funding can be used for activities to assist new homeowners in entering their home. And certainly we understand there are a lot of critical services in addition in terms of foreclosure prevention, et cetera. Those just are not activities that can be covered under this grant due to its focus. But certainly those are activities we understand are important, just can't be funded under this grant program.
We had a lot of questions come in. I'm not sure which ones we responded to already. So kind of looking through the chat to see if we missed anything. But feel free to keep uh, sending those questions in case we missed it. Yeah, there's a question asking who they should reach out for assistance. I definitely the community impact team. There's a impact at ncrc.org, which is the shared inbox that we have, which we will use to field any questions for this particular program. But keep in mind that we'll also communicate with the organizations that are selected or the organizations that are applying via the submit.com portal. So yes, communicate through community impact, but you'll also receive emails through the portal.
Thank you, Louise. I think at this time, from what we're seeing of the questions, we've answered the majority of those. If there's a question that hasn't been answered, please do send us via email. It might be one that we need to check on or that is more specific to your particular case. So feel free to just share those with us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Again, really want to thank you all for joining, for your attention and interest in this program. We know that it's an unusual time that we're in. And so we're thankful for you all to be in this work, to be supporting your clients and your communities. And we look forward to administering this program in a way that can support you as well to the best of our ability. Thank you, everyone. With that, we will pass it over a little bit to our membership team. Just they're going to drop a quick link in the chat for a survey. If you all could take a couple minutes as you're signing off just to answer that, we'd appreciate it. And that will kind of conclude our session here. And yes, absolutely, any questions that you have now or following this session, feel free to email them to us. Thank you, everyone.